A Louisville attorney arrested and charged with threatening after people reported his Facebook posts to KSP, and these posts insinuated gun violence against Governor Andy Beshear. Wave 3 News reporter Nick Pick spoke to this man's attorney who claims he should not have been arrested.
Dumb and unhelpful. That's how Greg Troutman's attorney described his client's Facebook comments, but not criminal.
The only thing more unhelpful than what Greg said on Facebook is the KSP arresting him for it.
Post attorney Steve Romines thinks we're freedom of speech.
If he had said the exact same thing, except used Donald Trump instead of Andy Beshear, he wouldn't be charged.
The first one says this: maybe some should ask Beshear in a press conference about his thoughts on William Goebel. For those of you who don't know the history, it's a good read. Goebel, the former Kentucky governor who was shot and assassinated as he took office in 1900. The second post, a comment thread between Troutman and someone else. Troutman accused of saying, "There's a rally tomorrow in Frankfort and Lansing." The response, "Will the Gov be there shooting plates?" Troutman's response, "With any luck, the Gov will be the one at whom the shooting will be directed." Romine says that's not a direct threat.
Trying to take what is free speech, and it is free speech, and turn it into a crime simply because you don't like it, only makes the situation worse.
Earlier this week, this Facebook post got a lot of attention when it claimed people had authority to eliminate the governor by any means necessary via the Second Amendment. There have also been rallies at the Capitol, people exercising their rights loud enough for everyone to hear.
We do have some folks up here in Kentucky today, and everybody should be able to express their opinion.
Romines doesn't know if any of that played a role in this case, but he is sure of one thing.
Governor Beshear is getting a lot of, flack from certain segments and probably some other threats. They're trying to scare everybody else off, and they're using this as to try to make Greg an example.
We reached out to KSP and haven't heard back. But when asked about the threats against him, Governor Beshear said that he trusts his security team. In Louisville, Nick Pick, Wave 3 News.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear refuses to prematurely open businesses in his state because he understands the importance of ensuring that things are done in a staggered fashion where people are safe and there are guidelines being followed. But there are some people in the state, including one lawyer by the name of James Gregory Troutman, who disagrees and has gone so far as to post death threats publicly in regard to Beshear and his decisions. So one of the comments that he posted was, maybe some should ask Beshear in a press conference about his thoughts on William Goebel. For those of you who don't know the history, it's a good read. And so if you don't know who Goebel is, he was the 34th governor of Kentucky. He served 4 days in 1900, and he was assassinated. So that's what he's referencing there. But he wasn't done yet. There was more. In another thread discussing a rally protesting the state lockdown, Troutman replied to a comment on Facebook about the governor's possible attendance, saying, with any luck, Beshear would be shot at the rally. Now, luckily, authorities looked into this and the lawyer was arrested.
Where he's now probably going to go to a facility where everybody is held indoors together. So if he wanted his freedom to be able to contract coronavirus, unfortunately, he might have gotten what he wishes for. Look, this is going to get worse and worse for a couple of reasons. I went out for a walk today, and I think people are starting to go a little bit more stir crazy. Saw a guy with a golf club in his front yard. I don't know what he was swinging at, but I saw another guy playing almost like hopscotch in his yard. Like, people are starting to do weirder and weirder things every time I go for a walk every new day. Because, yeah, we're starting to, get cabin fever. It's happening to all of us. And it's normal. Humans don't like to be cooped up. Problem number two is, of course, the right-wing culture that says freedom! Like, they all think they're Braveheart, and they don't want any of their privileges impinged. But they're not doing it to hurt you. They're doing it to save your life. But you can't talk sense to those folks. And then the third problem is the biggest one, which is soon real people are going to start running out of money. And so when you have all those things happening, and if coronavirus is not controlled, and we don't have enough testing to be able to contain the cases that pop up and their contacts, oh boy, if this thing lasts for a long time, people are going to get very antsy. Everybody's going to get antsy. The right wing is going to think it's an issue of freedom and whatever other things that they conflate it with, which are not the case. And then the folks who have no more jobs and no more money, I don't know what they're going to do. So this guy threatens the life of the governor. That's totally unacceptable. But I'm really worried that a ton of unacceptable things are headed down the pike for us.
And just to add one more devastating point, we are armed to the teeth, right? Like, people went on a gun buying spree, as we learn more and more about the virus. And so, yeah, it is terrifying. And it certainly doesn't help to hear people or see people encourage others to assassinate lawmakers because they disagree with the policies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And one other thing I just want to mention, I don't know. No, I do know. Everyone's at home. Like, the stay-at-home order is still in effect here in California. There is a helicopter constantly flying over our neighborhood, constantly. Starts at 5 a.m. and it just does not stop. And it's a police helicopter. So I have no doubt that they're keeping a close eye on things because police are probably expecting, some chaotic stuff from happening.
Yeah. And I mean, look, there's bad guys who might want to stupidly take advantage of the situation. And then there are homeless people who are really desperate. And that's a different problem. And then there's going to be the newly desperate when folks run out of money. And when you have desperation and you have a situation where people are feeling agitated, got a toxic brew coming. So I don't know, man. What I've said from day one, and you guys have heard me say it 1,000 times, South Korea did a good job. They immediately test, get people that have it into quarantine. They trace their contacts, get them into quarantine. And so that's a way where you can manage the disease. If you don't have that level of sophisticated testing, a sophisticated method of testing, you're in trouble. You're flying in the dark. And we've been flying in the dark from day one. That's why we're leading the world in number of cases, leading the world in number of deaths. And like Belgium is number one in deaths per capita because they're being radically transparent and tracking the deaths in a way that is potentially more accurate and more honest about how many people have died from coronavirus. If we did that, the number of deaths would at least double from what they are now in terms of how you account for deaths. And because a lot of people die from coronavirus and they go, oh, we didn't test them, we don't know what they died from, so technically we're not going to count them. Where Belgium is saying they died in a nursing home with other people that had coronavirus. They obviously died of coronavirus even if you didn't test them. So, so Belgium isn't doing it wrong. They're just being more honest about the problem. The more honest you are, the more likely you are to fix it. So, whereas it's not a joke, it's not politics. We have a three-ring circus leader as our president. He doesn't know what he's doing at all. And so you guys are all members, not trying to score any political points. Overwhelming majority of us are like-minded. But I told you that his incompetence would be the number one problem, and here it is. And so if this keeps going and it flares back up, bad news. Bad news turned into terrible news. But let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope that the Faucis of the world can help them get it right, get testing everywhere, ubiquitous, everywhere. And then maybe we can get it under control and open back up. But if you got these right-wingers who won't listen to anything and do it prematurely, God help us all.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks.